West, y'all.
This is another hard one, so I'm going to chuck these on the spot a little bit. But if I was to take all the Samoans in the tier one nations, like Ari Savia and Rico Ioane, Metomo from the Wallabies, and Bandiaki and Manu Tuilangi from the European nations, so all the best Samoans from the tier one nations, and put them on one side, and take the actual Manu Samoa team and put it on the other side, and got them to play against each other, the Samoans from the Tier 1 team would probably smoke the Manu Samoa national team by 30 points. So how do we get more Samoans to play for Samoa? It's no easy one. I don't even have an answer for it, so I'll just chuck it out there. And if anyone wants to step forward and sort of say anything on that, just for our listeners, if anyone's got any thoughts, how can we get more people to turn out for Samoa?
I remember.
Similar to, sorry, I just want to say, similar to like, well, it's a little bit different sport and different eligibility rules, but the Tongan national rugby league team, they went from nowhere to somewhere because people just decided to turn out for them. Now, obviously, the eligibility rules are a bit different, where they can jump back on the Kiwis or jump back to the Australian league team if they want to. But how do we catch? Is there any way we could catch something like that, catch some fire like that?
Just touching on 91 and remembering 91 and the feats that they were able to achieve to reach a quarterfinal, and then also the 99. And I remember in 91 as a 13-year-old, I remember it changed the mindset. People were like now not just necessarily talking about, I want to play for the All Blacks. Because of that, they wanted to play for island kids, Samoan kids were wanting to play for the Manu, or Western Samoa as they were known back then. And then the more players that were now then come around Super Rugby. 94, I remember there was the Super 10, where Auckland was playing teams like North Queensland and playing the New South Wales, but Samoa was in the mix as well. Samoa played Auckland at Eden Park, and we just went along with it and we just watched it. And then the more normal it became, I guess, to see your Samoan players playing, it meant that young kids wanted to be like them and represent Samoa. But I think it was just that then you had your sprinklings of players like your To'o Vaenga playing for the Highlanders, Afatu So'alo for the Crusaders and Canterbury, Brian Lima back and forth between... for him to play for the Blues at a time where you had Joeli and Jonah Lomu, it said a lot about Brian Lima, and then still being a mainstay in Super Rugby, playing for the Highlanders in latter times, for someone to be that good, and yet he was not eligible to be an All Black, but he'd already played for Samoa and still considered to be good enough to not necessarily be in the squad, but also be in a starting stripping day team. It spoke a lot, and so I think it was that we were overdue, and I think with Moana Pacifica coming this year, we've been overdue a super team representation in a competition like Super Rugby, whether it be here or whether it be somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere. I think I hope is the answer, because we've lacked a super team or representation of some sort, whether it be a Pacific Island team. Didn't have to necessarily be, because there's always been talks about including a Samoan team, including a Pacific Island team into the mix to better their national endeavours. I think that's a missing ingredient, a big ingredient, because we've always had players go abroad and ply their trades in the France and the Englands and what have you. But I think, and then the coming together, we just don't gel quick enough. And because we've had caliber players come from all these amazing teams from all over the world, yet when we come together, we just don't get the results that we're sort of like wishing to achieve. And I think the answer has been a team, and we saw the transformation that happened with Argentina. Still, they've still got a lot of work to do, but having had the Jaguares in Super Rugby enhanced their team. In Argentina, it's predominantly an amateur game. There's no professionalism in Argentina itself. All the Los Pumas were all playing in Europe, and so that's where because they get employed, they get money. they can't make a living as rugby players in Argentina themselves. So the same thing applies to Samoa, to Fiji. In 2007, 2008, you had so many, the majority of Pacific Islanders playing in France was ridiculous. And Fiji was the leader of that out of the big island nations. And they were just sprinkled throughout the first division right through to the third division in France and England. And so therein lies the problem, is that we've got all this talent, homegrown talent, all playing abroad. And that's inclusive of New Zealand and Australia as well. Um, and then it's just that coming together, because you even have to go back to Joe Levanderi, and then in his prime was the prime that Jolie sort of spent waiting in that 3-year period where he had stood down for the All Blacks. He only got to play for the All Blacks twice once he was eligible, but because he played for Fiji in '95, we didn't get to see the best of Joeli in the All Blacks colours, but we got to see him on the
On the Blues.
super stage for
Yes.
the Blues, as well as for Counties Manukau. So, and that's the thing, eligibility is massive, but also I guess we never saw the Joel Levanderis on an international stage for Fiji because of that stand down period. But yeah, he's the All Black that never was.
Mm-hmm. Sally, got any thoughts on how we can get more Samoan eligible players to try and tune out for Samoa?
I reckon so firstly we've got to make sure we sort out our affairs at home in terms of the Samoan Rugby Union. We've got to incentivize, it is enough to play for pride for the jersey, but it may not be that much that we can offer, but there's got to be some things that we can work around in order to provide these players with some sort of, it doesn't have to be financial, but some sort of like incentives in order to put on the jersey. Man, like if you're a big union like Rugby Samoa and you're run by the Prime Minister, surely there's something you can do. Like say like for me, I would use all my resources in terms of like, hey, look, you play for the Manu. Yeah, we're cool. We can't give you this much money, but hey, we'll give you some exclusive like rights in terms of like purchasing land, or give you some help with your family back at home. Stuff that will make the players play. Like they probably earn more than enough money with whatever contracts that they're on. So money shouldn't be an issue for them. Yet the logistics and getting from their clubs to the islands or wherever they're playing, that will probably be the main issue. But I think for them, the biggest issue has always been the fact that like sweet. We may not have the most money, but let's just see where the money goes and make sure it is used the right way in terms of looking after the team, but as well as growing the sport within Samoa as well. And over the last couple of years since that whole John Campbell thing came out, I think Samoa are heading in the right direction. I think we've got some good coach, like the fact that we've got say Lala, Mahonri, and all of those guys back on board. That was the blueprint in terms of how to build Samoa. Cool, sweet. We got all these players playing tier 1 rugby representative in those countries, and they're pretty much coming to play for peanuts. But what's more important is the fact that they're playing for the people, and that's what we need to reinstill back into the jersey. Because if you're gonna try and pledge for Samoa and hoping that you're gonna get financially sorted, it is never gonna happen. But I think the Manu Samoa Rugby Union Board need to work harder in terms of incentivizing playing for the jersey, because the boys will always play for pride. They will always play for the people, but we've got to repay that faith in some way. It's the loyalty that we need to reinstill back into the jersey. So, like most of those people have connections in terms of to the different resources or the different like places in Samoa, man. If that was me, man, I'll just be like, man, hey, look, I can help out with your families, like once a year, come to this resort and we'll look after you, like stuff like that, like like it is.
I like it.
It is backdoor dealings, but hey, bro, it's being creative.
It is.
It's being creative, man. Because
what happens, Sully? What happens when they get kicked out of the Manu Samoa? Do they still get the backdoor deal?
Oh, bro, look at it this way. Like, yeah, cool. You can support the businesses in Samoa, and like maybe if you do play for that team for that year, you can get like either a really good discount or like for free. But look at it this way: the All Blacks, as well as every other tier one nation, but also but also the club teams in those tier one nations. As soon as you've kept for them, you are an exclusive member of that team. In terms of, as soon as you retire, you still get all the perks of being part of that team. And I don't see why there shouldn't be any reason for players who have put on the Manu Samoa jersey to get some sort of exclusive, like um not rights, but like what's the word, like oh yeah, whatever the word is. But like with the All Blacks, as soon as whether it's 120 tests, you still get tickets sent to your house to attend any of the home match games. You can still turn up and attend the player, the what do you call it, the different areas that are exclusive to former players. So like like stuff like that we need to, like, obviously it's not going to be massive in Samoa, but hey man, like, let's see what we can do. Like, you put on that blue jersey, you get looked after not only on the field but off the field. Not only when you're playing for Samoa, but after you've done playing for Samoa. That's something that they need to look at in order to like boost more and more players. Because at the end of it, like, the rugby circle is so small, especially the professional sport, the professionals. So of course it's the ticks, of course it's word of mouth, how you're treated within the camp, how you're treated after you've put on the blue jersey, stuff like that. You look after them after their career, look after them off the field. That little stuff will build to creating a better culture and better environment for anyone coming into the team and anyone who wants to be loyal to the blue jersey.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Some ideas, thinking outside the box a little bit. So, Tuilaepa, if you're listening out there, try it on, man. We need to come up with some better ideas. I don't think he's prime minister anymore, so he should have some extra time to
Yeah, yep,
dedicate to
that's
the
true.
Manu.
Well, that's what I don't get. I don't get in 2017 when the then Samoan Prime Minister Tuilaepa announcing that Lakapi Samoa or Samoa Rugby Union was bankrupt, and then that was sort of squashed by World Rugby, who disagreed with that can't be the case. So, I mean, like what Sully is saying, if we can't look after our own players and we can't even take care of our backyard, how are we supposed to be entrusted with, money that comes from the World Rugby on a yearly basis, or however, um, whatever the frequency is? It's just,
And that's
and
always
that's
been the
why.
issue. It's how it's the mishandling of the funds that World Rugby Union gives,
Yeah,
man. Look, like,
and that's what they're wanting to have their own team and run their own team by Samoans for Samoans, but we can't even look after our own. And so, how are we going to be entrusted with bigger or other ventures such as a team involved in Super Rugby or whatever up in the Northern Hemisphere in the Premiership? We just can't do it because we don't have the track record for it either.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. The administration side, so it's got to be sort of top down and get the books and everything sorted at the front office, and then that sort of stuff filters down. We've seen that before with a lot of professional teams where the well-run teams tend to do a lot better than some teams that are just constantly underachieving because they're just poorly run. So the Manu has to really sort that side of the game out as well.
And I guess
They
that's
can't just
where
keep relying
a
on the
Stace,
handouts and stuff.
it's
Yep.
it's got to be like it's not. I mean, I'm all for having an all Samoan team or an all Samoan or all Pacific run ship, but for me, I believe it's just the best people for it take the helm. And I remember when John Bowe was our Manu Samoa coach from 2000 to 2003, and and the challenges that he had to face just because you had to be based in Samoa, and the politics behind that we were not always exposed to. Best intentions to just try and get the team up and running and do the best for the Manu, but when they're facing challenges coming from the outside, um, is hard as well when you're trying to keep the team first and foremost. And I don't know whether those are the same sort of challenges that guys like Michael Jones had, Brian Williams prior to him as well. I mean, there's a whole list of coaches who have come through. Just going through some of them. Where are these Samoa coaches? Yeah, John Bowe was 2000 to 2003. Before him was Brian Williams. You had Titi Maea Tafua, Nico Palamo before him, 2008 to 2009.
Yeah,
And
Titi was
so,
probably our best coach, man.
yeah, Titi's, especially he garnered a good team, especially running into that World Cup. But then he came back for a short stint, 2017 to 18. But yeah, I mean, Stephen Beetham was another one that came in after the World Cup. But I was hoping for big things when Alama was announced there. And you had Stephen Jackson. But with Seilala Mapasua now, hopefully, he's like some of those before him have played for Samoa and now coaching Samoa. So hopefully their input can make a difference. I'm not too sure. Is Tulaipa still the president of the union?
I haven't heard anything different. He's got a bit more time on his hands, so I don't know if he'd relinquish that role, but yeah, no, I believe so. Although we might need a fact check there.